Hello, I'm Chris Richmond, and today, or should I say tonight, we're going to the pictures. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I find there's something really special about going to the cinema to watch a film. I'm not sure if it's the fact that it's on a massive screen, experiencing it in surround sound with the subs rumbling the auditorium, the smell of popcorn, or just the fact that I've gone out. But it's something special to me that I just can't replicate by sticking on a DVD at home. Perhaps it's even the location itself. My local picture house in Fakenham has a long history, and just stepping inside fills me with a nostalgia, yearning for a past that spans beyond my own existence to the golden age of cinema. So tonight, I'm going behind the magic as we go on a behind-the-scenes tour of Central Cinema in Fakenham.
So Fakenham's about 15 minutes from me, and it's so cheap. You can watch most of their films for only a fiver. That's much cheaper than your corporate multiplexes.
Fakenham's Central Cinema stands at the heart of the town's marketplace, on the site of the former Market Cross. Originally built in 1855 as the Corn Hall, films have been showing here since the early 1930s. Today, the cinema is ran by a small independent chain who took the building on in 2017. I meet cinema manager Andy, who's going to tell us more about this historic cinema.
Alright, good evening Andy.
Oh yeah?
Thanks for letting me do this.
Yeah, no problem.
So, I know from my previous visits how passionate you are about this place, so what can you tell us about the history of this wonderful building?
Well, it's an old building. It's been at the heart of the town for best part of 170 years now. Originally it was a corn exchange, for the trading of all the goods that were produced in the local farms and everything around. And obviously as time's progressed and things have changed, especially with the advent of the railway coming into town, the corn exchange become less of a commodity, I guess, but it became almost out of use by say 1920, and then by 1930 it was then converted into a cinema. Ran as a cinema until 1976, I think was the last time it showed a film in its original incarnation. At that point, cinema was on a massive downward trend in this country. Admittedly, if it had been able to hold out a few more months, I think it may have been able to survive it, because it wasn't that long afterwards that then Star Wars came out, which effectively heralded the start of the blockbuster era as we know it. But yeah, it then became a bingo hall for about 20 years, I think it was. But then it was taken back on and converted back into a cinema again, early 2000s, by Trevor Wicks, who was the owner-operator of the Hollywood cinema chain at that point. The current owners purchased it from Hollywood Cinemas back in 2017. So yeah, still running as a cinema now.
It's certainly interesting times for local cinemas, but people get the hump. They can't bring in their food and drink from outside. Now, there's a very good reason for that, isn't there? And it's to do with the fact you can offer prices so cheap.
Because what you've got to remember is the fact that we're a small business, so we don't have the various members of staff walking around that you see a big multiple chain. But also, I'm not supporting several levels of management within the cinema itself. I'm not then supporting an area manager, a regional director. I'm not supporting a head office. I'm not supporting a marketing department. I'm not supporting shareholders. All these people want their little bit of the pie, and there's only so much of the pie to go around. So that's why the costs then at these other places are a lot higher. But for us, it's basically what you're supporting here is you're supporting the building itself to maintain it and keep it open, keep the doors open, and you're basically supporting the people within the business, within the cinema itself, to be able to feed the families, to feed, to keep themselves going. So what you've got to remember is this is a huge part of the community. There's lots of people come here regularly for their escape from reality, and if they can do that on a cost-effective basis, where they can bring their family of four in, get a few snacks, get drinks, get a bit of popcorn maybe.
That's one of the things about here. You do make your own popcorn. That's brilliant.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's we buy it in as the raw seed. We make it ourselves, so we make it fresh on a daily basis. We do it as much as we can ourselves. It helps also to keep the cost down. So we're not using several layers of suppliers. We can make it for a lot less, so we can sell it for a lot less. And, that's the way it goes.
Right, so what does the setup here today consist of?
We've got 3 screens. Our main screen, which is screen 1, we can hold 105 people, which on the face of it doesn't seem like a lot, but we've got to remember we're a small town, we're a small community. Our second screen upstairs, we've then got a mixture of not just your normal cinema seating, we've also got some sofas up there, or couches, whatever you want to call it. That's the popular screen for families, especially the kids. The kids come in, they ask, as soon as they hear you in screen 2 upstairs, the kids are already gone. They've gone up the stairs before the parents even turn around and had a chance to say, hold on, wait a moment, because they're rushing to get to the sofas. So it's basically like an oversized sitting room form. So like I say, that's screen 2 upstairs, and that's capacity is 70. And then we've got our third screen, which is a small screen downstairs, which is made out of use of an old space that was never used before. And that's capacity is 40.
Right, now I'm sure people are itching to see. Can we go and have a look in one of the projector rooms?
Yeah, of course you can. Not a problem.
The main projector room is located between screens 1 and 3 and originates from when the cinema was reopened with multiple screens in the early 2000s. As a mere cinema goer with a curiosity for all things technical, it's exciting to see what lies behind this door, normally closed to the public.
See in here, our projector room for downstairs. So this covers 2 of the screens, screen 1 and 3. The entire cinema runs on Sony systems. So we run on Sony 515s, which are technically they're obsolete now, but they're still really good projectors. They give you really good picture quality. I've been told they're the best picture quality you'll get in the business, apart from the really new laser projectors which are now come onto the market. But these do the job for us. They've been here, for the best part of 10 years now. Screen 1 for this side, and then this one does screen 3. Realistically though, this is oversized for the size of the screen it is. For sound, we run on Dolby processors. We use 2 CP750s. The reason we use CP750s is because we can then control them via the systems, whereas other Dolby processors, you then have to go and manually turn these things on and off all the time, so we can run them within the programming of the content on the projectors. I've got some spare projectors down here because we can no longer get hold of the Sonys or parts for them. We will have to replace them at some point. To serve the entire cinema, we've got our server stack here. So in this we've got 2 main units which all our film and content comes in on. So you've got the Landsat server, which you get main traders come in on, and a lot of your content comes in on. But we've also got Unique, which is another little server here, and then some of the companies use that one as well. And then it's all controlled. Turn it on here, so you can see all the different screens on here, and that's how I go in and program all the films and everything in. So obviously the age of the building itself, it's been a cinema building for nearly 100 years now, so there's still several layers of equipment and controllers. You look on the side of the wall here, all this is old defunct equipment, no longer connected anywhere. I hope not anyway. If you look over this side again, we've got windows in here from where the old film projectors used to be, and all the controls are here on the side from when they used to have to do different bits and pieces, and they changed the size of the screen and things. No longer needed because everything's digital. And then if we go into the other projector room, which is upstairs, there's even more older equipment and more interesting aspects of the building you'd be able to see as well.
While screens 1 and 3 are on the ground floor, upstairs is screen 2, which opened in 2003 and makes use of the former balcony dating from the 1930s.
Before we go into screen 2 though, I'll just point out another interesting aspect of the building is the fact that through that door there, although it looks like storage, behind there is actually a fully furnished 2-bedroom flat, which is where I live.
And what a place to live if you're as enthusiastic about your work as Andy. This upstairs space was originally said to be the hallkeeper's quarters, and later the cinema manager's office. Now, onwards to screen 2.
Now, this room has quite an atmosphere. I don't know whether it's the decor or the smell or or just the fact that it's a bizarre shape, but this room does have a bit of a story behind it, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, it's the old balcony area, as I mentioned before, but it's got part of the history of the building. So, yeah, obviously it's been converted into another screen, which you can see there. But yeah, it's also the area where we tend to feel most of the presence of previous occupants of the building, including I believe the original cinema manager, Mr. Mays, I think his name was. And I do occasionally feel his presence within the building when I'm closing up late at night. But that's just it. You just feel that you feel something about it. You don't feel any animosity. You don't feel anything that's wanting to do you harm or is not liking you being here. I love being here. I mean, the building itself is just so much history to it. I mean, what more could you ask for, really?
So yeah, you've got the screen all the way down the far end there, but when you look at the back, there's actually no projector holes. So what's going on there?
Well, if you come down this way, I'll show you a little bit of it. If you look up, you can see, you should be able to see where there was a great big hole in the roof, basically. It's an old building, Victorian era, no electricity at that point. So the only way to light a big, huge building like this was let as much light in as possible. That's why if you go on the outside of the building, you can see huge, massive windows all the way around that have been covered in. But also, there was a massive glass dome on the roof of the building. Doesn't really work with a cinema. So when it was converted to a cinema, that was, I believe, originally the dome was covered over, and then at some point the dome was taken down and replaced with a roof structure, basically just to keep the light out. And upstairs above us, where we're standing right now, is where you'll find the projector.
So how on earth do we get up there?
Around here is the original projector room as well. So the stairs here are the original projector room stairs, going back from when it was converted. So this is the original projector room. We've still got lots of old equipment on the walls, various screen controls and bits and pieces. Around here you've still got more old controls, but this is the original projector hole. So you'd see here, and then the projectionist would then basically winding the film on and various bits and pieces. We've still got the old reel table where they do the editing, if any issues needed, the adverts need editing in, trailers and various bits and pieces. So that's still up here.
So how on earth did they get all this equipment up those stairs?
Very carefully is the answer. I believe that sometimes they had actually winched them up with a rope up on the outskirts of the building. I believe that was the case with some large films, so the likes of Lord of the Rings. I believe because the film cartridges were so large they couldn't actually fit up there. And when this projector was brought in, that was actually used. They used a crane to bring the projector up and then bring it through this door, which leads out to the roof. When we get to the point where we have to replace this projector, touch wood, it doesn't happen anytime soon. We're going to have to look at the same sort of thing, because there's no way we're getting the projector up here through that gap.
Alright, so you said this is like the original projector room, but this is actually like an extension of the roof, isn't it? It's not actually part of the original, because you use the hole for the glass dome as the projector hole.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean it's something when they converted it, they put this in. You can see around, if you look around, you can see the old, that is original construction from when it was converted over. But yeah, and they used the space within to beam through the dome hole to go right down to what is now Screen 1. So originally, I mean, it was just a one-screen cinema originally, 700 seats, around that sort of number, and it was one of 3 cinemas within Fakenham.
When the Central originally opened in the 1930s, there were already 2 picture houses within the town. The first was opened in 1916, occupying a former school building on Norwich Road, and the second, the Electric Pavilion, opened in 1920, making use of an old drill hall. Both had closed by 1940, but their buildings still survive, albeit repurposed. Now, back to the Central and that projector room.
So through this door here, which is labelled up as danger, keep this door locked at all times, is the original gap where the dome originally was.
And that's why I enjoy making films like this.
It's great.
And that concludes my behind-the-scenes tour of Central Cinema. Many thanks to Andy for that fascinating insight into how the cinema works and for revealing the secrets of this historic building. And whilst I'll enjoy the films, knowing that my popcorn is fresh and that everything's being ran automatically, I'll be keeping an eye out for the ghost of Mr. Mays, and should he appear, he'll be reassured that the future of this cinema is in good hands.
Now for the obligatory closing paragraph. If you enjoy following my quirky, if slightly self-indulgent adventures, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This filmmaking lark just wouldn't be worth it without the support of watchers like you. Until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.